All right, your money, your vote. Tax and tax, spend and spend seems to be the Democratic mantra, at least according to a leading Democratic think tank. But Newt Gingrich has a vision of free market liberalism that would protect the forgotten taxpayer and stop enlarged government bureaucracies. Joining us now to debate this is Jared Bernstein, senior economist at the Economic Policy Institute, author of All Together Now, Common Sense for a Fair Economy, and Don Luskin, chief investment officer at Trend Macro. I mean, Don, it just couldn't be clearer, the different visions that seem to be surfacing from this campaign. What's your take?
I agree. I got to tell you, though, the more I hear the Democrats talk about taxing and spending, the more I feel that they're going to lose in 2008 because they don't have a mandate to do that. In 2006, the Democrats took control of Congress because Republicans in the middle switched over because they were dissatisfied with Iraq, because they were dissatisfied with George Bush. This is not a mandate to go back and do a New Deal.
Yep.
If they try that, they're out.
Yeah, you know, I've written this column different ways in the last few months, and I agree with you. Now, Jared Bernstein, this is John Podesta's think tank, the New America Foundation. This baby is tax and tax, spend and spend, entitle and title. It sounds like Harry Hopkins and FDR, Jared.
Well, look, I mean, I think I'm not that far apart from you and Don on this point, that if you were truly running a tax and spend kind of a program, I think you would have a hard time getting past a lot of voters. I don't think either you or Don are listening carefully enough, though, to what these guys are saying. First of all, on taxes, the Democrats have been very clear. They're talking about letting the Bush tax cut sunset, which, by the way, is written law, need I tell you, on the high end, on folks whose income that is far above that of the middle class. And if you listen to Hillary Clinton, she has very much a pro-middle class agenda. If anything, those guys are talking about tax cutting for the middle class. Now, by the way, I don't quite get where those numbers come from, but it's really an important distinction. Sometimes I think you and folks like Don jump very quickly to this idea like Richard Gephardt, oh, these guys are protectionist. Tax increases.
Yeah. He is. He's been leading the charge for 20 years.
Right.
He's now signed up with Hillary.
That's right.
Come on, get real.
No,
What's the message there? The message is she is disavowing her husband's free trade policies.
She's taking
Don Luskin, isn't that right? How else do you read? Dick Gephardt.
Yeah, it's absolutely right.
He's a good guy. He's a solid guy, but he's been a protectionist for years.
You can't go to the reductionist, protectionist place. You got Bob Rubin on one side. You got Dick Gephardt on the other.
No,
what you have to understand is balance.
All right, Don Luskin, do you see balance in this proposal?
I don't see any balance at all. What I see is rhetoric, and Jared is a very smooth talker, very convincing. He seems, very calm and centrist.
I feel calm.
But you just can't tell me that letting the Bush tax cuts expire isn't a tax increase, because it is. That means that when they expire, tax rates are going to be higher than before they expired. And I don't think it helps that the tax increases are only going to be on the rich, and that Hillary Clinton has some story about tax cuts for the middle class. We're talking about tax increases. We're talking about socialized medicine. We're talking about tariffs. We're talking about all kinds of higher taxes to fund higher spending. So let's just admit it.
Wage insurance.
That's what it is.
The Dems want to pay people not to work for 2 years, just like Denmark, Jared.
See, I stipulated from the very beginning that we're talking, yes, these guys are being very explicit about increases at the high end, but somehow that goes to socialized medicine and tariffs. No. I mean, Hillary Clinton, by the way, hasn't even outlined a health care plan. The other health care plans that have been outlined are responding very much to a perceived need among the population. Now, in an era of pay-go, if you're running for office, you have two choices. You either say, I will meet some of the challenges that you, the populace, are telling me, and I'm going to have to raise some taxes to do that. Or you say, I'm going to cut spending. Now, you and Don, tell me, where are you cutting? Where are your big cuts?
Jared, you are the best, the most charming, the most elegant guy.
Guys, I don't know what's the love fest about.
Jared, all right, let me go to Don. Don Luskin, have you ever in your lifetime heard a Democratic spending cut proposal?
I don't believe I ever have, but I've got to tell you what this all reminds me of. I'm reading this wonderful book right now called The Forgotten Man by Amity Shlaes. It's a history of the Depression, and I really think I understand what all these Democrats want, and I have a little fantasy here that this might be what Jared wants. We want to go back to the Depression so we can have a New Deal, and all of the people who are now just to have jobs at think tanks will get put in charge of big things like the Tennessee Valley Authority or some socialized health care
Let me
leviathan.
disabuse you, Don.
And I got to tell you something, guys. We don't have a depression. We don't have a crisis.
I agree.
We don't need all these expensive solutions because we don't have any expensive problems.
You are right, Don, and I hope the Democrat candidates hear you. You and Larry are right. There is not an appetite for a New Deal. I don't think that's what these guys are talking about. There is an appetite for health care reform. There is an appetite for a more equal distribution of income. There's even an appetite for better bargaining power for workers.
I don't know
that's
about
not a New Deal.
I don't know about the equal distribution. Don Luskin, I got something for you on a Friday afternoon.
What's that?
Ron Paul out-financed John McCain in the second quarter.
Wow.
That shows you the power of ideas. You can't keep good ideas down.
I don't like him on foreign policy, but on domestic stuff, sound money and low taxes and limited government, Ron Paul, Don Luskin.
And abolish the Fed. Don't forget, abolish the Fed.
Jared Bernstein. I don't mean to put you in with Ron Paul, Jared, but Jared, you did a great job with a very thin slice tonight.